welcome to our YouTube channel.
Welcome.
Our thoughts, questions, and theories about the new Fantastic Beasts Crimes of Grindelwald trailer, which just came out this week. And
we're real excited.
We're really excited.
We've
so
already
we want to talk about it.
It's come out, what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And today is
Thursday.
And this is how much Michael has written down in his
So we've written down a lot of things that we want to talk about, which is what we're going to spend this video doing. So we hope that you find it interesting and comment and talk about your theories and your questions and your excitement. So do we just want to dive right in?
Yeah.
Okay. Beginning. So we're going back to Hogwarts right there
back
at the start.
Back to Hogwarts.
Which was really nostalgic. I liked that the music was like similar, but not exactly the same. It wasn't like a Hogwarts theme.
Yeah.
You know?
It was like a brand new theme. Mm-hmm.
But it was reminiscent.
It was very reminiscent.
Very nostalgic. I loved it. And so we zoom in on the castle, and then the Aurors appear on the bridge, and a lot of people have had a lot of opinions about you can't operate within Hogwarts grounds. So let's just start there.
I mean, J.K. Rowling's a screenwriter. Come on, guys. So to me, it wasn't a question of how. It was a question of why. Like, my first thought was, when was Hogwarts: A History published? Because we don't know. Because I mean, if it was published after the Battle of Dumbledore and Grindelwald, then we could have had new security measures like put into Hogwarts. Yeah. Also, during Half-Blood Prince, when they were doing their apparition lessons, destination, determination, deliberation, the Hogwarts apparition ban was lifted. So the headmaster does have the power to lift it, so it is possible.
It's doable, y'all. It might also be that maybe at that time the bridge wasn't considered part of the Hogwarts grounds. That would be inconsistent with Deathly Hallows Part 2, where all the baddies were like up on the hill and the headmaster or the professor protection came down onto the bridge right in front of the statues. So that'd be inconsistent. So we don't know. We don't know.
How and why?
One of my theories is that like after the Aurors interrogate Dumbledore, he's gonna like lean over to Professor Dippet and be like, "Yeah, maybe we should like not let them do that anymore." And then
looking all sexy as hell.
And that's when the protections are gonna go in place. So
maybe.
Or maybe they just thought it would look cool.
Maybe it was just like it just looked good. So.
It was just a screen making choice, and that's all there is to it.
No, never accept that.
That's not canon.
Never.
Never. So they're walking along the bridge. So we know Theseus is with them, with the Aurors. We can assume they're like ministry Aurors. We're assuming that.
And
Lestrange is there. She's wearing the same dress that she was wearing in the promotional picture that we first saw with the group shot.
Gorgeous.
The kind of purpley maroon, dark red dress with the sash and everything that she's wearing. So she's wearing that. So why do you think Letta's there with a bunch of Aurors? Is Letta an Auror? Is she like an investigator? She's just hanging out with Theseus because they're married, and she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go back to Hogwarts. That sounds fun." Don't really know.
She's just a cool girl, and she just wants to be there.
She's not there with the Aurors when they're interrogating Dumbledore. At least we can't see her anywhere in that scene. So is she wandering around Hogwarts? Doing something?
What's she doing, girl?
That's kind of a mystery too. When we see the students popping their heads out of the windows, which was so cool. They are still wearing, it looks like they're still wearing the same costumes or the same uniforms from the first movie. They were ties, sweaters, robes, at least from what we can see. There's not a lot going on there. So I was kind of hoping they would wear different costumes just because it was a different time period.
We still don't know.
We still don't really know.
We still don't know.
And then we see Dumbledore at the back of his neck as he walks down the hall.
In his backside.
And so
he's in the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom.
So there's been a lot of questions about that too. Is he's a transfiguration teacher? Why is he in the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom? We see that first off, we see all the desks are pushed to the side. So there's no students in the classroom. It doesn't look like they have come into his class and interrupted his class and said, "Okay, students, go." Kind of what we were thinking was maybe the Aurors came into Dumbledore's classroom and he's teaching away where McGonagall teaches. Maybe we'll see that set again. And then the Aurors come in and Dumbledore's like, Oh, hold on. Let's go in another room, and then they go into the Defense Against the Dark Arts room and
But there
interrogate him
is
there.
some of his toys in there.
Yeah, some of his doodads that were in his office are in there, so that's also got kind of mystery.
I'm on the train of that's his classroom. They just switch around classrooms. I mean, Slughorn used a different office than Snape, so
That's true. We don't know.
people move.
So one of the mysteries that has been really confusing for me as a wand collector, which you're going to see that in another video, all of our wands, but yeah. So the first promotional pic of poster that came out, the same day as the trailer, has Newt and Dumbledore standing there. Newt's facing forward. He's got the wand in his hand. Dumbledore is back behind him with his back and has his hand down holding a wand. That wand is not the wand that we have seen in all the promotional pictures so far. We saw the picture on Instagram during Wizarding Wednesdays like last year where the Elder Wand and that new black wand with all the ridges and the ball at the end.
Yeah.
Gorgeous wand. I want it so much. We saw that wand. It was Dumbledore's wand. This was his original wand before he got the Elder Wand. That's it. We see him holding that wand in the group shot that came out a few months ago with everybody's costumes. We saw all those for the first time. We see Dumbledore's wand on the desk in the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, or maybe it's the Transfiguration classroom, who knows at this point, sitting on the desk. It's right there. Everything up until this point has been this wand is Dumbledore's. And now there's this poster coming out where Dumbledore is holding a different wand. And I've dubbed it the Swirly Twirly Wand, because if you zoom in on it, it looks really swirly. It's an awesome looking wand. I just don't know where it came from. Or is that Dumbledore's wand? Is the black one his wand? Why would they talk about the black one if this isn't his wand? That's a huge mystery for me. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Next, we see Newt, or we see the bits of the postcard flying up into the air. We'd seen that postcard in a promotional picture a while back, Newt holding the Paris postcard in front of his face. And so those pieces kind of coming back together in that shot. On the floor, you can see that there's a pen, looks like a compact, and a pair of scissors. So that, to me, kind of looked like the contents of a bag, like a purse or something that's been knocked to the floor. We don't really know where Newt is in this point. I thought maybe it could be the Goldstein apartment, but it might not be. I can't really remember what their apartment looks like.
What if it's Letta's apartment?
Maybe it's Letta's apartment?
Because they have a sordid past, and we don't know what the sordid past is. We know that she and Theseus are engaged, and we know from Fantastic Beasts, the movie, that Newt had a thing for her, perhaps. Something was going on there. So maybe he was in her apartment and saw like a memento from their friendship.
So we thought originally that it was someone sent Newt a postcard from Paris, but I don't think that this is really his postcard. Somebody in Paris has sent this to someone, maybe Letta, maybe the Goldsteins, and he's finding it in this apartment. It's kind of what we can guess. Next is the big amphitheater scene with Grindelwald, and we can assume Rosier. What is her first name? Vinda Rosier, who is, we saw in the previous promotional picture with Grindelwald. She is wearing pants and boots. Sassy. She's just looking good. So they are addressing a huge scene of followers. So what do we think those followers, who are they?
I personally believe that he has infiltrated a Paris ministry meeting, or like maybe Confederation of Wizards. I personally think that he is gaining his followers by like finding like top tier people.
So it looks like maybe a mausoleum of sorts. Like I think there are graves. It kind of looks like laying down, kind of those European style graves that are going up. So don't know what kind of room that is. So Grindelwald, when you zoom in on the picture, Grindelwald looks like he was holding a wand, but when you zoom in on it, there's like this very long, curved something. It like a horn, stick, a sword. It's coming out of both the top and the bottom of his hands, and then Rosier appears to be holding a glowing orb. Some people have said that maybe this is a prophecy. It doesn't look like any of the prophecies that were in Order of the Phoenix. It's not like blue. It's more like a bright. It's big and it's bright white. So
Could be a totally new magical object.
yeah,
Both of them.
they're using it somehow to impress those people in some way, probably to convince them to come over. So anyway, that scene was really cool. So we see that that Newt and Jacob are down in some kind of chamber. We don't know like exactly where they are, but there's the beast back behind them. So finally, we're going to see some beasts. This is called Fantastic Beasts. So there's the moon calves. We see the tops of the moon calves' heads. So those were in the first movie, and then there's two new beasts that we've never seen before. So some theories about what those beasts might be. The bird with its goofy eyes, I think, is an augury. An augury is kind of described as like a frumpy-looking vulture, and that bird kind of matches that description. And reading through the Fantastic Beasts book, I kind of looked up all the birds that I could find, and none of them really matched the description of that bird except the augury kind of matched the best. Of course, the augury was kind of the name in Cursed Child. Spoiler alert, maybe. That's kind of important. So I don't know if that bird doesn't look very menacing. It doesn't look like something that would inspire a villain to name themselves after.
Well, the bird is described as, let's see. Yeah. So it's a thin and mournful-looking bird, somewhat small and underfed vulture in appearance. The augury is greenish-black, is intensely shy, nests in bramble and thorn, eats large insects and fairies, flies on heavy rain. Distinctive, low, and throbbing cry. It is once believed to foretell death. Wizards avoided augury nests for fear of hearing that heart-rending sound, and more than one wizard is believed to suffer a heart attack on passing a thicket hearing an unseen augury wail. So it's become like a wizard folklore, like don't go near an augury because you'll hear them cry. So I can see why Newt would take pity on such an animal like this, because I'm sure like this animal had such a bad reputation for no reason, because the reason it cries is because it's a weather forecaster. It moans during the winter months a lot, but it sings at the approach of rain. So people used to think that, and I'm sure there's still like a lot of opinions that this bird will foretell your death, when really it's just wanting to talk about the weather.
Just kind of
it's
rain.
Just an innocent bird. So
yeah, it seems like Newt would really take in something like that, like really like a misunderstood creature, kind of like Luna does with the Thestrals.
Right.
Right. They're really sweet and they're just misunderstood.
Because he looks kind of decrepit. He's like an old vulture-looking bird. So.
So that'd be awesome if that actually was the augury. The beast next to it looked like the big moose-looking thing. It's got like great big horns and gold eyes. Again, not a lot of beasts that match that description that are in the Fantastic Beasts book. The closest one that we could find is I don't know if we're pronouncing it right, a Re'em. It's R-E'-E-M. And so it's a giant oxen with golden hide. With the lighting, it looks kind of brown, but that's found both in the wilds of North America and the Far East. Re'em blood, it gives the drinker immense strength. Though the difficult of procuring it means that supplies are negligible and rarely for the sale in the open market.
So Credence is in the next scene, and we had some theories about how he may have gotten his body back. I don't personally believe that he did the same route that Voldemort would do, because that seems like a lot of dark magic. But we do know in this film that Nicholas Flamel was cast, yet we don't see any of Nicholas Flamel in the trailer. But as we all know, Voldemort sought out Nicholas Flamel to get the Sorcerer's Stone to regain his body and his strength. So we know that Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel are friends. And I can assume that Dumbledore would take a lot of pity on Credence, because having his sister Ariana, who is an Obscurus, and then meeting another Obscurus and trying to heal them, I can assume that Dumbledore would want to help this person. So my opinion is that maybe there's some sort of alchemy involved with the Sorcerer's Stone to get Credence his body back and get his strength back. And you can also kind of see him like releasing his Obscurus.
Like he's got it under control.
Yeah, like there's some part of him, and the Maledictus character, she's also very intrigued by it.
Yeah, she's not scared.
She's not scared at all. Like and obviously she's a circus performer, so I feel like she is used to being kind of looked down upon and mistreated because of her ability, her blood curse. Which we still don't really know much about the Maledictus, but I feel like her and Credence are probably going to have a great bond because of that, being outsiders. The next scene is There's like a big black and white dome room.
So pretty.
It's so pretty. And if you look on the details of the lettering, it has French beasts all over it.
Yeah, it's got like Le Niffler, Le Nundu. So
just like that. And so there's like French beasts all over the ceiling. So that makes me believe that maybe it's like the French Department of Magical Creatures.
Yeah.
And Queenie's there. So and she looks kind of like something's going on. I don't know. And then, so yeah, I'm thinking maybe since they're in Paris, maybe the Department of, maybe the Ministry of Magic for Paris is maybe it's under the Eiffel Tower. I think that would be really cool.
That'd be so cool.
And then maybe it's underground like it is in the English version. So I think it'd be cool to see another different Ministry of Magic. We've seen the British version and then we see the American version. So it'd be cool to see the French version as well.
And it makes sense that it would be like the Department for Control of Creatures, whatever they call that in France, because of the beast on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like just the General Ministry of Magic of France
and there was desks
would just have those.
Mm-hmm. It's very fancy for a department.
It's very pretty.
Maybe they just like do it up right with the French ministry. So
and so some people have thought that maybe it's the Department for the Control and Regulation of Magical Creatures in England, but the style just doesn't line up. I don't think
the French on the lettering makes me think it's definitely France.
Okay. So the next thing that we wanted to talk about is the scene with the scrawlings on the sewer wall. It looks like a sewer. I think that's Dumbledore standing in front of it. It's really dark, but just the hat and the shape of the coat and everything, it just looks like Dumbledore. It also kind of looks like maybe the scrawlings are glowing themselves, but I think maybe he's just holding his wand in front of him, and that's kind of like the light is being shown onto the scrawlings. And so a lot of people have noticed, and it's so cool that they put this in the trailer, kind of like giving us this big
because they know Harry Potter fans.
Because they know we're obsessive, and they know we'll look over it. So you can actually zoom in and see that it is a family tree. It's a Lestrange family tree, and so Corvus Lestrange is up at the top. There's a face under it that is all white, like there's no dark in. It's an all white face, and then under that is like a starburst with maybe a bird shape in it. One of our friends pointed out that Corvus is a genus of bird. Isn't that right?
Oh yeah, our friend Shelby did. Yeah.
So Corvus bird on the thing. Maybe there's some kind of connection there. Then it goes off into two shoots, and so Lorena Kama is on the left-hand side. We know that Yusuf Kama is Kama is going to be a character in the next movie, so some kind of connection going on there. And then Lorena's face is all black. So maybe that's blood status. Maybe she's a mudblood. Maybe Corvus is the pure blood, and Lorena Kama is the
blood status would make a lot of sense.
A mudblood, maybe. Yeah. And then Letta Lestrange is just under that. And her face is half white and half black. So maybe she's a half-blood, even though the Lestranges are part of like the sacred families of pure blood wizards.
Maybe the Lestranges aren't all pure bloods. Maybe there's different branches because he obviously was with two different women. So maybe he was with a muggle. Maybe he was with another witch.
Yeah. So then on the other side, there's Clarice, and then there's something written after that, which I'm not able to read. I can't tell what it is just based on the picture. I zoomed in and I just couldn't read it. And a quarter of that face is dark. So it's white, and then a quarter of it is dark. So maybe like a fourth blood.
Fourth blood, yeah.
And then under that is Credence Barebone. So, and his face is like an eighth black. Or that might just be a scratch or maybe something else. I don't know if this is important at all, but it is interesting that the faces are there and that they all have different colorings and different shapes on them. And so that shows that Credence and Letta are cousins or half siblings in some way. So that's where Credence gets his magical lineage. So do you think it was Credence who was scratching this down there? Some new character that we don't know about? That's pulling the Lestranges and Credence and everything together. Yeah. We don't want to know about this. We do want to know about this. Is it a secret? So many questions.
If you remember from Fantastic Beasts, Mary Lou Barebones goes to Credence and says, "Your mom was a wicked woman." So obviously she knows something about Credence's mother. Something about how maybe she was the witch, and then how did he get into Mary Lou's hands? No one, We don't know. Mystery.
So we saw the Circus Arcanus for the first time in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. You see Graves walking through an alley, and the Circus Arcanus poster is back behind him. So I think that might have been a deleted scene, but it was in there. Mina Lima designs the full Circus Arcanus poster, and so they had intended to use it as part of the first movie at some point, but ended up not doing it. So we see the Circus Arcanus for the first time here in this trailer. We see all the big crowd out front. We see the kids up in the bubbles, and then the posters of the attractions up on the tent. So lots going on in this scene. First off, is this a nom magique? The French word for Muggle street?
I would assume so, especially with those bubbles.
Even with the bubbles, you think it's a non magique street?
Oh, no, the opposite.
Oh, the opposite. Okay, good.
I would assume it's not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so maybe this is like the French Diagon Alley. So the kids are bumping around in the balloons or the bubbles. There's a lot of people out front, and then we see the posters. And so if you look at the poster on the left, you can see that it is Maledictus written under there, and you can also see that it's kind of back behind a bubble. But when you zoom in on it, you can see that it's very similar to the first poster from the first movie with the snake girl, the amazing or the charming snake girl. She's wearing a blue dress now. And she definitely looks more like Claudia Kim, who's playing the Maledictus. So maybe it was like an early concept of what the Snake Girl would look like, and now they've changed it over to this.
Maybe. And to me, Snake Girl, and when I saw her costume, it just led me to think alchemy. She looks very alchemy-like, especially with her blue and the feathers and her design. So I think, and the Snake Girl part makes me think she might be an alchemy blood curse. I don't know what that would mean, but something along that line.
So we know that the blood curse is different from werewolfism. It's not that. She doesn't turn into like a were snake. We don't exactly know what the rules are. This is a new form of magic that we haven't seen before. So it's very interesting to see what that is and and how she'll be an attraction. On the other side, you see Oni, O-N-I, which is like a Japanese ogre demon. So that could be like an interesting new beast that they're going to show in the movie. And there's a strong man right in front of that poster. So that kind of goes back to the Re'im, maybe blood strength
and the
thing.
Re'im is from the Far East, it says.
Yeah.
It's one of the places I find. And the Ogi,
Oni,
sorry, is Japanese.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so.
Maybe he's using the strength from the, what's it called?
Re'im? Re'im? We're not really sure. We've never seen it before.
I don't know what it's called. But maybe he's using the strength from that to become the strong man.
Yeah. And Mobius. A lot going on in the circus in general. First off, it looks like maybe there's an undetectable extension charm that actually leads to the circus because the front looks like an entryway. And there's no tent back behind it. So there's probably some kind of magical extension to actually where the circus really is, like Newt's case. It's like a room unto itself. The owner of the circus, Skinder, we see him very briefly in the crowd. He's got like a stick. He's kind of moving back and forth like he's entertaining something. We see Yusuf Kama come out of the crowd looking into the cage probably that's in the middle of the crowd. You can see Tina's shoulder in that scene, which we didn't notice until our friend Shelby pointed it out. So we're going to
We'll link her below because she's a super genius.
Yeah, so she's super observant, and she said, oh my gosh, you can see Tina. It's like right there. We didn't even notice that.
Yeah, we'll link her below.
So that was pretty cool. So we know that Tina's in that scene too. So Yusuf's there. He's doing something. We don't know. We see Credence like smash a cage. Like, what do you think's in that cage? It's like little tiny somethings. Maybe little dragons.
I have no idea.
Maybe
some beasts. I feel like my opinion is that, like, just like I said about the augury and the Oni, just
Oni.
like augury. No, the thing.
Oh, the Re'im.
Just like I said about the augury and the Re'im, like those seem to be animals that may have been abused, and of course, Newt has a soft spot for those animals. And in that scene where Jacob's with the case and the animals in the background, I think that maybe that's part of the circus. I think maybe he is trying to free these animals from the circus. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see him trying to take these animals away from the circus. So we see that scene where there's like a wizard blasting the roof off, And if you zoom in really closely, the costume detail looks a lot like Graves. So is Graves back? Is this a flashback? To me, it looks like Graves. It could be wrong, but I just noticed those cuffs, man.
It's the long black coat. It's the dark hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks kind of Gravesy.
It looks kind of Gravesy.
This is like I would be very surprised if Colin Farrell came back for this movie, but we didn't know that Johnny Depp was in the first movie until basically it came out.
Exactly.
So maybe Colin Farrell is going to come back, and it's going to be a surprise for us.
Mm-hmm.
Thing we wanted to talk about is the Thestral carriage, which looks so cool.
It's beautiful.
5 Thestrals pulling the carriage, 2 carriage drivers, and 2 people on brooms back behind.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't sure what building they were coming out of. Pottermore said that it was a building in New York. An architect friend of ours confirmed for us that it was the Woolworth building, which is where MACUSA is located. And so we can assume that this is one of many things.
Holding chamber.
So maybe like American Azkaban is somewhere up at the top of that tower. That's like where they keep magical prisoners. So is this a prison transfer? Is he being sent back to Europe? Is this his escape? We see that there are 2 wands pointed at Grindelwald, who looks very emaciated and long hair and all that. So he still looks like a prisoner in the back of that carriage, at least the way they've cut it.
Yeah.
So we don't know if that is as before the carriage leaves, or as it's leaving, or much longer after it's leaving that those wands are pointed at Grindelwald. We don't really know.
My opinion is that he has planned an escape with his followers, and he has lots of followers on the inside. So the people that are pointing the wands at them, the people on the brooms, are actually like his supporters, doing a very, very sophisticated breakout. And also, we found out that there's the new Lego set coming out, which is super cool, and it has Grindelwald fighting Seraphina. And Seraphina isn't even in the trailer, so that was pretty cool. But we know that she's in this movie. But now we know she's in the movie, so you can see them fighting at a building, and you can see the Thestral carriage, so obviously I think there's just going to be some sort of battle between them at that scene right there.
Yeah. So I have held on a theory, because we know Seraphina is going to be in the next movie. Carmen Ejango talked about like, oh, I'm done filming, so she was there. She was part of the movie, and so I'm thinking with the timeline on Pottermore, they have the timeline of the American presidents and how long she was in office, and it lines up with the year that this movie takes place, where that is the end of her term. So we don't know if she gets kicked out, if she resigns, if just the way that American wizardry works that her time was up, if she gets killed. We don't know how she gets kicked out of office. But I really hope she doesn't die, because we actually haven't seen her do any magic yet.
I know. I want her to do so much more.
I want her to do something really cool. And so we really want to see her like trying to prevent Grindelwald from escaping. Because and you see in the Lego promo that she's kind of on that balcony casting a spell, and it's Lego, so it's not like, but Legos do a really good job. I definitely want that set, and so when you see them kind of dueling each other, like Grindelwald's kind of coming out of the carriage casting a spell, and she's standing on the building casting a spell. So the way they've set that up, it really does look like Seraphina is preventing him from escaping in some way. So really hoping that is going to play out in the movie. Maybe because she fails to prevent him from escaping, she gets booted out of office, she goes rogue. That's what I really want to happen.
Awesome. Yeah.
I really want to see like rogue Pickery
like
blasting people with her amazing crystal wand.
The administration has become corrupt and has become infiltrated with his supporters, so I can see her joining the cool kids in the resistance
and hunting down Grindelwald on her own.
I really want that to happen, because she seems like she'd be such a cool character, and I want her to do so much more.
Definitely want to see more from her, so that'd be really, really awesome.
She's the best one, so
it's gorgeous. So the last thing we wanted to talk about is the Dumbledore quote right towards the end of the trailer, where he says, "I can't move against Grindelwald, it has to be you," talking to Newt. What's up with that? I mean, is I can't move against Grindelwald mean I won't move against him? We know that they don't actually do anything against each other until the duel in 1945. At least that's what all the clues have pointed to so far. Maybe there's secret meetings, maybe there's whatever up until then, but we don't know.
We don't know.
So I can't move against Grindelwald? Like, why not? What is the reason behind that? Is he just
being Dumbledore? Is he just letting someone else do his dirty work?
So something that's I noticed in the first movie and kind of posted about and got some comments back is I'm very curious about the ownership of the Elder Wand. I mean,
Yes.
it's really a huge mystery of the series anyway. So in the first movie, Tina disarms Grindelwald.
Yep.
And and Graves' wand flies out of his hand into hers. Newt latches onto him with whatever that swooping evil goo was and disarms him. So the two of them disarmed him. We know that the ownership of the Elder Wand can pass through the ownership of some other wand. It happened with Draco. So, what's going on with the Elder Wand as far as I can't move against him, thinking that
Newt is the owner of the Elder Wand.
Thinking that Dumbledore can't move against Grindelwald because he's afraid of the Elder Wand, when Newt or Tina, it'd be awesome if it was Tina.
It would be awesome if it was Tina.
Are really the owners of the Elder Wands the whole time. And maybe that's how Dumbledore is able to beat him at the end in 1945.
I hope there's a scene in the movie where it's kind of like a mystery, like it was in Harry Potter, where Newt's just like, oh yeah, and we took Graves' wand, and then Dumbledore's like, oh.
And there's that twinkle in his eye.
What is it? A glimmer?
The glimmer of triumph.
Glimmer of triumph.
Yeah, that same glimmer. I would love for something like that to happen because those are the rules. Joe, you made the rules.
The rules of wand lore is very tricky indeed.
We're just following the rules. So that's kind of our theories so far. We love to hear what y'all's theories are. This is our first video that we're posting to this channel, and we're just really excited.
Yeah, follow us and like us or something.
Give us a follow, give us a like.
If you didn't like it, pretend you did.
And we'll be back with lots more ideas, cosplay stuff.
Yeah.
And we really want to share a lot of stuff on this channel. So let us know what you'd like to see. We love talking.
And thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Bye.